So the beloved Addams Family live action movie was filmed over 30 years ago, but does it stand up today? Let's find out. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the Addams Family, and this is the classic 90s version of the Addams Family movie that was filmed all the way back in 1991. Now this movie really does channel and embrace everything about the Addams Family, for example their darkness, their devilishness, their demonness and their kookiness as well. And it is really impressive that we've even got this movie, as there were so many highly publicized reports that this movie had so many production challenges across its entire run and was constantly delayed, and they had to do a lot of reshoots and the script as well as being rewritten. So it's really great that we've got the final product that we have. Now I do feel like this movie is a little bit overhyped. I feel like people go on and on about how brilliant this movie is. Now it is great, but like I said, I do feel like it's a little bit overhyped, and I don't think it's on the same level as the other 90s classics, for example The Mask, The Grinch and Home Alone as well. And I'm going to be breaking down everything about the 90s classic live action version of the Addams Family in this movie review. So the storyline of this movie is centered around the Gomez Addams character really missing his brother Fester, who has been missing for the last 25 years. Now Gomez Addams' lawyer takes advantage of this as he is having his own financial troubles and speaks to his loan shark and convinces the loan shark, who is also a bit of a con artist, to use her son, who looks a little bit like Fester, and really take advantage and really manipulate the Gomez Addams character, which is pretty dark from a storyline point of view. And the film then explores whether or not they're going to be successful in doing this, and also has a bit of a seance scene which reminds me a lot of Blythe Spirit. And in that scene they really fake and concoct up that the Fester character has come back due to the seance, which I think is really manipulative. And the film then explores if fake Fester is going to be able to steal all of the jewels and all of the fortune and all of the wealth from the Addams Family. And it really does also look at the weird and wonderful lives of the Addams Family unique way of living in this world. Now from a positives point of view, like I said, it really does embrace all of the kookiness of the Addams Family, and I do feel like they've created a really great set. I believe this was the same set as they used from the TV series of the Addams Family, and it really does come to life really well. The storyline is pretty easy to follow, and also they just have some really great and fun moments and a couple of laugh out loud moments in the movie as well. However, from a negatives point of view, like I said, you can tell that there were a lot of rewrites and a lot of script changes, as it doesn't flow as well as it could have done. And also certain moments feel very theatrical / panto instead of being this really polished cinematic movie. But you know, from a storyline point of view, I do feel like it's pretty enjoyable, and it does still work considering all of the challenges that they went through. So from a cast and characters point of view, I honestly feel like they've got such brilliant names in this movie, which really does make it what it is. So let's go through them one by one. So first we have Anjelica Huston, who is playing the Morticia Addams character, and she does such an excellent job in really bringing the darkness and the devilishness of this character to life. She really does embody the character so well, and with such perfect casting for the role. That being said, from a storyline point of view, I do feel like they could have given this character a little bit more to do. You know, that being said, she does have a relatively decent amount of screen time. I just feel like they could have gone a bit deeper with this character. Next up we have Raul Julia, who is playing the Gomez Addams character. And contrastingly, actually, this character does have quite a lot to do in this movie. He is really missing his brother Fester, and as such is really easy to get manipulated by a whole number of characters, and is relatively a really nice person. He is so infatuated by his wife Morticia Addams, which I think really does represent the kind of guy that a lot of women want as a husband, as he literally just can't get enough of his wife, which I think is really sweet. Next up we have Christina Ricci, who's playing the Wednesday Addams character. Again, another brilliant casting decision. She doesn't have that much to do in this movie, but she has such great screen presence and really does bring the demonic side to this character to life really well. Next up we have Christopher Lloyd, who was so awesome. You can just tell that he is having an absolute blast playing the Fester character, and that really does come across on screen really, really well, and in turn the audience is really able to enjoy his performance as well. And he actually is a bit of a con artist character who really wants to con this family out of all of their wealth, but then he begins falling in love with this family. And so I really do feel like his character arc is really, really great. And you could argue from a storyline point of view, actually, this movie is all about this character's narrative, which I think is really, really interesting. And then you can kind of see the Addams family as being secondary characters, which I think is really interesting from a perspective point of view. Next up we have Pugsley, who is the brother to Wednesday Addams. He again doesn't really have that much to do, and he's kind of there just as a bit of a target for the Wednesday Addams character to constantly try to kill this character. We also have the late Elizabeth Wilson playing the Allison character, and she was so good in playing this con artist slash loan shark character, and all of her different accents and the way that she is able to manipulate so many characters, and actually is incredibly ruthless. And especially in the last few moments in this movie, she definitely does do a lot of evil things, especially with her lawyer friend Tully. The two of these together actually are quite evil masterminds. They may not be the stereotypical antagonists that you've seen in loads of movies and TV shows, but actually they do some pretty dark things. And speaking of which, we also have The Thing, who is so awesome, and I just think it's so brilliant how he literally is just a hand, but really is able to capture your imagination really, really well. I mean, from a CGI point of view, it doesn't always look the best, but I think given the fact that it was made in 1991, they did do a really good job with this character, and so from a casting character's point of view overall, they actually are really, really impressive in this movie. So from a visuals point of view, like I just said, this movie was made over 30 years ago, and so some things unfortunately don't stand the test of time and do look very, very dated. But that being said, I do still think it works, especially with the time period that this movie is based in. It really does capture your imagination and really does send you back to the 90s. And also there are certain aspects that do look really, really cool. For example, all of their costumes and all of their attire looks really, really cool, really does embody everything that the Addams family is all about. Also the house, very, very kooky. I feel like they've got the gate working really, really well in terms of it having a life of its own, and just all of the evilness that all of these characters get up to across the entire run of this movie, and also the books, which have their own magical powers. Now, the CGI that's being used within these powerful books, I think is very, very apparent, but the fact that they tried is really, really cool. And there's a really cool party scene as well, where they've got all of the other wider Addams family members joining them, and those scenes are really, really brilliant. So from a visuals point of view, whilst it does look, to be completely honest with you, very, very dated, I still think it works really, really well as well. So from a comparison point of view, I think this movie is a lot stronger than the recently released animated movie. I can see what they were doing with the first animated movie in terms of taking different aspects from this film and doing their own version of it. But that being said, I do still think the live action movie is definitely the superior one. I would say that this movie is probably on the same level as the sequel, Family Values, but I do think it's a lot superior than the third movie, which was the reunion one. Now, I think this movie is also on the same level as Casper, but not as good as the other 90s movies, for example, The Grinch, Home Alone, and The Mask. And so from a comparison point of view, I think this movie is pretty much safely in the middle. So overall, I did enjoy watching the live action 90s version of the Addams Family movie. There definitely is enjoyment to be had, and like I said, it's got an absolutely stellar cast in there. However, I don't think it's as gripping or as coherent as it should have been to be truly brilliant, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.